Hi my loves, and welcome to your cosmic weather report for the week ahead. Got a beautiful week again this week, such a beautiful week. Now, first of all, public service announcement, Mercury is going to station retrograde on Tuesday. But as always, we are not going to fear the retrograde. And in actual fact, this Mercury retrograde is a beautiful, beautiful retrograde that is here to really, really help us. So first of all, with Mercury retrograde, yes, things like tech tend to mess up, things like travel tend to mess up. But again, all of this is coming to really, really help us with the main message of Mercury retrograde, which is to slow down, to stop rushing, to go inwards, to give yourself some extra time. And so this retrograde happening at this time of year, Mercury is going to be in retrograde until the 15th of December, is such a beautiful and powerful message for us to really slow down, go inwards, take stock. This is one of the times of year that we fight against nature the hardest. And so everything in nature right now has gone into deep stillness, deep silence, deep beneath the earth. All of nature now has gone into deep hibernation to begin to nourish and nurture and gather and rest. And this is the time of year that arguably we then do the exact opposite. The whole world around us lights up and we're called to go here, to there. There's parties, there's noise, there's shopping, there's everything going on. And so as we push against nature in this way, and at a time where we should be mirroring nature, getting quiet, going inwards, being still, resting, gathering, we instead ramp all the way up and we begin to push our tired little souls out there into the world to do and to do and to do. And I honestly believe that this is why we normally get to the end of a year and we are so frazzled and burned out and exhausted. And so that's not to say don't enjoy everything the season's got to offer, but it's to say balance some of that doing and being out there in the world and being busy with some being and stillness and quiet and rest. And you will benefit from this so much. And you will actually then do what nature does, which is start another year next year as we move gently into the year and move towards the spring with so much more to give to be able to really do what it is that you want to do. So this Mercury retrograde is really asking you to slow down. And it's often when we're not slowing down and we're pushing against that and we're rushing that the accidents happen, that the missed trains happen, that the long journey delays happen as a sign of like, you need to stop pushing and forcing this. So please listen, please slow down, please take your time. And what's really magical is that this Mercury retrograde is happening in Sagittarius. And so it's a real call to go inwards, to explore your inner world, to be with yourself, to really know who you are, to spend that quiet time in there with yourself. And that I honestly believe as well is why sometimes we rush so much, because we don't really want to listen to those little stirrings within us of where things in our life perhaps aren't quite right. And so we keep busy to avoid that. But if you can really go inwards now and be still and be quiet and be with yourself and explore your inner world, you're going to have all the wisdom that you need to be able to make the changes that you need to make, that this week, later on in this week, is going to really help us with. And so this is a time now to go in, just like nature, draw in, gather in. And then with this retrograde being in Sagittarius, beginning to then envision what you want next year and prepare for this. If I want to do all of these things next year, what do I need to be doing now to make sure that I've got the inner foundation for that to happen? How can I now rest and gather and nourish and nurture so that I've got everything that I need to be able to bring these dreams and desires to life? And this is going to be really, really helped on Wednesday when we get the Sun trine Mars. Now, as the Sun trines Mars, Mars is that planet of motivation, drive, desires. And so the Sun is going to illuminate what it is that you deep down desire and yearn for. And so we've already started to get quiet and still at the start of the week with Mercury retrograde. So now if you can go deeper and go in and listen, you're going to find those deep desires start to emerge, that your soul begins to speak to you, that you begin to really feel what it is that you want, that sometimes very often only comes from slowing down and going inwards. As I mentioned, we very often ignore these things because we're like, well, I haven't got time for it. I don't know how I'd make that happen. Or that would mean that I need to leave my job and look for another one. Or that means facing that my relationship isn't going the way I want it to. And we avoid it. But if we get still and quiet, beneath all of that is the deep, deep soul desires that want to come through, that want to be heard, that want to be listened to, that really then form part of where you're being called to go next year. And so if you do pay attention and go in, you're really going to hear, I say this to you all often, but we all have little soul seeds planted within us of what we came here to bring to life, of who we can grow into, of who we can become, of what we're here to really offer. And next year is going to be such a big and powerful year. It's going to be such a huge year. And each one of us is going to really be called into more service and more of ourselves and bringing those dreams and desires to life, because again, I say this to you often, but you're never given a dream or desire without also being given the means to achieve it. And every dream and desire that you have from within you that's a true soul desire is within you because it's needed in the world. And so the Sun trining Mars on this day after we're being really asked and called to go inwards and listen and be with our inner world, this is when those deep soul desires are going to start to stir of this is how you're needed, this is what you really want, these are your deep desires and they are needed out there in the world. They're part of the fabric of the universe and the new world. And so this time of slowing down and going inwards is going to help us to really get in touch with where it is we're being called to go and what it is we're being called to do. Now, Thursday then, another really sweet day on Thursday. Thursday, Venus squares Chiron. So what I'd love you to do on this day is to really then go inwards and look at, be with, honor, heal any wounds that you have around self-worth and self-value and deserving what it is that you desire. Any little wounds that are in there that will pull you back or stop you from doing it, I want you to really dive deep into self-care. I want you to use this as a day to really set the tone of, now I'm going to make that commitment of going within, getting quiet, getting still, listening to my inner world, tending to those deep dreams and desires that are in there and giving them the nourishments and the nutrients they need so they can take root and begin to grow. How can I really take care of myself now? How can I be really gentle with myself now? And what wounds are still in there that need me to hold them and to honor them and to bring them for healing, so that these wounds, these self-worth wounds, don't stop me further down the line when my dreams and desires begin to grow. So I want you to really go into those tender places on Thursday, go into those parts of you that are still a little tender, into the inner child, and really hold these parts of you. Go in, get right in and be with these parts. And then again, we can really tend to our inner worlds in such a beautiful way so we can bring through that healing, that nourishment, that care, that love. I want you to really love on yourself on this day. And then this all sets us up so beautifully for Sunday when we get the Sagittarius new moon. So this is the last full lunar cycle we get this year. When we get the next Capricorn new moon, it takes us through into next year. So this is our last full lunar cycle where we get to do a full cycle from new moon to first quarter to full to last quarter, back around to new again. And what I would really love to ask you to do around this new moon is to, or the energy of this Sagittarius new moon is now, we're inwards, we're quiet, we're tending to our inner world. We've looked at our deep dreams and desires. We've looked at those vulnerable and wounded places within us. And this moon now is an opportunity to look at the year, the traditional year that's gone by, and to really take what you've learned this year and what you've been through and what you've grown through, and then alchemize it into wisdom. Sagittarius really helps us to see why certain things have happened, why we've been through what we've been through, what it's been preparing us for, how it's been helping us to grow and transform and evolve and learn, what the real lessons have been, what the soul lessons have been. So I want you to really reflect on it, alchemize it all into wisdom, and then turn it into a new vision and dream for next year. So knowing what I now know, having been through what I've been through, taking the lessons from this year, the things I did do and the things I didn't and I avoided doing that I knew that I wanted to do, how am I now going to turn this into a new vision and dream for next year? And in doing so, what do I need to do in here so that that dream can come true? So remember that everything we want to manifest in the world first has to start within here. So let me be with these dreams and these desires. Let me envision next year. Let me get myself in the vibrational frequency of that. This moon brings optimism and hope and an ability to be able to see the bigger picture and see what you haven't been able to see before. And so if this year has felt challenging for you, look at those challenges, honor them, but then begin to turn that and look at how you do want it to be, expand it into something new and something different. This moon just brings this ability to be able to expand beyond. And I want you to, again, to remember that we're still in. So all the work that we're doing around this moon and around this week is deep inner work. It's creating what we need on the inside first. And if you think about Sagittarius, the archer and the bow, what we're doing now is we're drawing back the bow. We're beginning to take aim towards 2025. We're beginning to look towards what we want, and we're beginning to really align ourselves with what it is that we want, but we're not going just yet. Because again, if we just go and we're not aligned and we've not got things aimed in the right direction, we're going to go off course. We'll be off course before we know it if we go too quickly. And so instead now we go in and we find that inner anchor and we find that inner vision and we find an inner frequency and vibration of what we want, and we tend to our inner world and we really get to know ourselves on a deep level, and we really begin to honor those dreams and desires that are calling us forwards into next year. And then we draw back the bow and we spend that time drawing back the bow now. And again, when you think we draw back the bow, we draw into ourselves first. So we draw into ourselves first so that then we can begin to take that aim. And we can begin to really and truly know where it is that we are going. So when we begin to then move back out there in the world towards it, we first of all got a very, very, very clear intention. We've almost got a roadmap, and we've got this inner navigational system already set up because we can hear our inner world so clearly that we just know then the right direction to take. We see the signs, we follow them. And so this week, please begin that process. Slow down, go inwards, explore your inner world, hold yourself really gently and tenderly in those vulnerable places, align with those deep dreams and desires, listen to where your soul is calling you to go, and then use that new moon to get yourself aligned and to do the inner work first, so that then it will just naturally begin to appear in the outer world, because we've already manifested and created it in here first. I wish you the most beautiful, beautiful week ahead. I am sending you so much love, and I'll be back next week.